Morning, Greg. Just putting up this video to show you what our motorways are like. This is our M1 motorway, and I'm driving with my son Ben, who's on camera duties, and we're driving back from Portadown, which is about 25 miles up the road from where we live in Belfast. So thought I'd show you what the countryside looked like, and the motorway especially. I'm sitting at about 70 miles an hour in the Touareg, or the Touareg Volkswagen, and I'm being overtaken. A lot of these vehicles are doing, you know, must be doing 80, which is breaking the speed limit. You're only supposed to do 70 tops on this motorway, but a lot of people just ignore that, you know. Anything in particular that we see, we'll film it for you. And the car on the outside lane there is a Tesla, according to Ben. Elon Musk is responsible for bringing these electric cars to us. Unfortunately, your man pulled out on me. And there's a big push, which you probably know about, being you. The big push for us all to...
probably has a lot more electric.
And there we are, stay at home. We're getting these roadside signs delivered to us. Stay at home. Is your journey necessary? But anyway, I'm talking about the Tesla cars. There's a big push in Northern Ireland for everybody to buy electric. And anybody I've talked to tell me don't buy electric because number one, they're too expensive. Number two, you can't find a charging point whenever you need one, and you have to leave them on the charge for a considerable amount of time. And also, whenever your car becomes scrap, there are major difficulties getting rid of the battery.
Lithium.
You know, can you recycle these batteries? I don't know. I don't think so.
Can't recycle lithium batteries.
So you can't recycle, according to Ben, these batteries. So that's going to be a real major headache. You know, for the environment and everything else that we're all told to protect. That's the Ban River, and it's all flooded. We've had just atrocious rainfall, as you know. But this is our drive home. And we're back with the Tesla car. Ben tells me it's a top range type motor, and he would fancy one.
I wish I had invested in them. Would have been a millionaire.
He thinks you would need to be a millionaire to buy one of these. I don't know what price range they would come in.
And there's another electric car that's coming through the ranks called NIO, N-I-O.
NIO?
Yeah, it's in China. It's a Chinese make, yeah.
Right.
It's their top sort of electric car.
Right. Who manufactures the Tesla? Is that American or?
Yeah, well, it's Elon Musk,
Elon
I think. So he's American, like.
Does the UK manufacture any of these?
I don't know. But like, the main car brands have their own electric cars. You know, like BMW and all, they'll be bringing out electric cars themselves. Like,
Is my journey necessary? Yes. I wouldn't be doing it if
I can't really see it on the sign.
That's all the outbuildings of Sprucefield. It does Curry's, does Marks and Sparks, or Marks and Spencer's, McDonald's, all the top brands are there. Temperature today is a remarkable 7.5. We're just past the exit for the Irish Linen Centre. It's a museum in Lisburn. If you want to know anything about the manufacture of linen, of which so many factories were built around, this Irish Linen Centre and Museum is absolutely fabulous. I've videoed a bit about it, but not an awful lot.
Exit at junction 6.
So I'm going off at this junction and we'll be heading through more sort of farmlandy type country. Way up above. So we've just come off the M1 motorway, which is above us, and this is the traffic light system at the Saintfield roundabout. I know that you're not into roundabouts as such in America. There's a nice Irish thatched cottage at the end of the road here. I want Ben to video for you. There are some traditional old Irish cottages like this left, but precious few, you have to say, and it's just in on the left hand side. The thatching for these farmhouses, look at the old windows. The thatching for these farmhouses is quite expensive, and there are very, very few guys who can do the job. There's the motorway, and these are all new builds. This has been here about 10 years. They call these townhouses, and we're on the Hillhall Road. It's quite a bendy, twisty wee road, but it's a main thoroughfare. A lot of accidents on this road because it really does need widening. And I would have been on the Hillhall Road all the time. I don't particularly like it because it's so bendy, and there's very, very few spots where you can safely, in fact, I think there might be one spot where you can safely overtake anybody. I used to ride this road on the motorbike all the time. And we're just coming up to Hillhall Presbyterian Church on the right, on the left hand side. I suppose technically this is the village of Hillhall. An awful lot of new builds going on here. Don't know where the money's coming from to build these houses. It's coming from somewhere. This road has been widened here on that bend there. At peak traffic times, you know, this is a mental road. You know, you're just backed up behind people. We had originally, Tanya and I had originally looked at a house on the right hand side up here, and funny enough, it's called the Braniel Road up in there, which is quite interesting because we ended up living on the middle Braniel Road and the lower Braniel Road. So, but that's over at Knock where we are. My pupils from Newtonbridge High School would have all come from a as far out as this. So, you know, I'm well acquainted with it. I used to be on it all the time on the motorbike. In fact, there's a wee club. Ben's just dropped the camera there. There was a wee club that used to beat it out here. It was called the Valley Motorbike Club. Used to be in it. I'll go along. You can see the bendy, twisty roads now. You just can't fall asleep at the wheel. You need full concentration. Not like your roads now, Greg. Nice, wide, open roads, massive, and sparse traffic. To drive these roads, you need to have your wits about you. More townhouses. These have all been put up in the last 20 years. 20 years ago, these were not here. Townhouses on the right hand side, you call those wee terrace. This is our farmland. Get a lot of cattle grazing in the summertime and whatnot. We still have sheep out because, as I say, the temperature's only 7.5, or is 7.5, which is extremely mild. Having said that, you know, last week our temperatures were down to 0, and we did get snow, as you've seen. So we're coming into sort of the outer edges of Belfast once we go around the top hill here. Dangerous wee road. So many people have lost their lives on it. You're heading up to Drumbo, up to the right there. And then as you come down left, you're heading towards the Giant's Ring and Lisburn. Oh, there's a biker out. He's on a BMW trailer. Whenever I was growing up in Banbridge, in Windsor Terrace in Banbridge, I had a neighbour called Harry McCormick who lost his life just down in that dip. He was a policeman and he was coming home from duty, and all those years ago. Here's some of the road signs showing you where we are. Giant's Ring off to the left, Belfast and Knock right, but you can hit Belfast city centre by going left as well, all depending which way you want to go. And you can see on the right hand side there the early grass has been sown. Unbelievable amount of grass production. Beef and dairy cows would be the mainstay. Milk production, cheese production, big time. Really getting into the edges of the city now. We're approaching Beaver Estate, and Forest side will be coming along here. This on the left hand side was an old hospital. It was called the Fever Hospital. It was attached to Portadown Mental Hospital, and my mother worked as a nurse down here in both the Fever Hospital and Perrysburn Hospital. A lot of the buildings now that were old hospital buildings have now been redeveloped, refurbished, and they have been turned into exclusive properties and flats. Over on the right hand side is the entrance to Hyde Bank Women's Prison, and it houses high category prisoners, I'm afraid. There'll be about, I think maybe about 30 ladies in there, and they're all in for I believe murder and whatnot, and it's sad to think of them going through day after day after day, week after week, in behind walls and bars. And I'm not making any excuses for what they did, but such a waste of the lives that they took, and a waste of the lives that they are now living. This is all big fancy houses. If you're living up this road here on either side, you've got a pound or two in the bank, or you should have.
In a quarter of a mile at the roundabout, take the third exit onto Hillhall Road.
Got to put on the wipers because I hate a dirty window. And we're coming up to the top of the Beach Hill Road. We're coming onto we're going to cross the Saintfield Road. A lot of these roads, that one down the Beach Hill Road, have been ramped. A ramp is a high raised, I don't know if you understand that, Greg. A ramp is a raised area of either concrete or tarmac that runs right across the road, and it's to slow the traffic down. So unfortunately you would get wild boys, you'd get idiots who would steal cars and drive them over here and rake around and do handbrake turns and everything else at 3 o'clock in the morning. So to stop them really going fast and what have you, they put ramps in, and there's ramps all over the place, and they're an absolute pain in the head. They wreck your suspension if you hit them and you don't realise that they're going to be there. We're on the Saintfield Road, but we're turning left towards Castlereagh, where we live. So this is more populated, so we are on the edge of the city, but there's plenty of houses on this road, and building is going on all the time. There's hardly any room left to put any more houses in, but I'm sure they'll squeeze them in somewhere. Building is always advancing out. Along the, you can see the houses, the way they're all packed in there. Well, these are good houses, I have to say. Most people today don't really want a garden of any size, any proportion. They don't want it. I haven't got time to tidy it and fix it and what have you. So the gardens are quite small. And a whole lot of people don't even want garages, but if you can have a garage, it's a real bonus. So we're only about 3 miles from home, and we've had a nice wee run out this morning, even during this lockdown. We are still able to drive and go for a walk. But an awful lot more people out walking, I have to say. And like these two people on the right hand side, you notice people they're not going for a mile or two, they're going for a right old distance, and they're carrying backpacks with a flask of tea or something in them, you know, and a bite to eat. Over to the right hand side there is Lagan College, and up on top of the hill there, if you pan round, Ben, is Lisburn, high point, great point for looking over the city. Very picturesque, or picturesque as we turn it round. So we're just approaching where the American cemetery is, on top of this hill here behind the beach hedge, on the rocky road, and I've done a few videos of it. What happened was the guys, 300,000 American forces came over to Northern Ireland in the Second World War, and they advanced on into Europe. So it's down that road called the Rocky Road, and I have videos of the Rocky Road. And that's Lagan College over to my right. And whenever some of these guys that came over, unfortunately, were killed in road accidents and by natural causes and stuff, so they were buried there on the Rocky Road in the American cemetery, and then at the end of the war they were repatriated back home. Very sad, the whole thing. We're coming up to the top of the hill. We're coming up to Church Road on the left, Castlereagh Presbyterians in on the left. This whole area is steeped in history. This was the high point of Grey Castle and Con O'Neill, the last Gaelic lord, and he was knocking around in and around the, I think it's about 1200s. And in that wooded area to the right is where Con O'Neill was inaugurated. He was crowned king on a special stone which now sits in the Ulster Museum. A bit like the Stone of Scone, I suppose, where Scottish kings and English queens and kings were made king and queen. And this is a staggered junction that we have here up to the Castlereagh Hills. A lot of people don't know how to work this junction whenever they come across it first, so it does cause a wee bit of confusion, but there you go. We like it. It's a good job. It keeps the traffic moving. We'll come around the corner here, and there's a new build going on, and you know, you have talked about stick houses. I laugh at you. This is interesting on the left hand side. These boys are building houses down in here. I think there's about 3 coming along. So I might I might go down and video those just to let you see, you know, the construction methods. I'll do that maybe whenever all the guys go home someday. Very few wooden houses here, and we're on the Middle Braniel Road, and this is us home.